What's up, guys? I consider myself like somewhat of an enlightened individual, and um, pretty much, I th- I find the sex game kind of like fucking hilarious. Um, like we really like fiend and feast after each other. That shit is weird. And the fucked up thing is I've been there, but I don't do that shit anymore. I took testosterone. I took testosterone, and I no longer and came off, and I no longer like crave for sex. I'm like a normal fucking human being now. I don't like, yeah, it feels good, but I don't like. You have to understand male psychology. The monkey brain male psychology says that basically a woman in her body is like a temple or like an idol. Is like, I could like hang out with like a fat chick now, but back in the day I couldn't hang out with like a fucking fat chick. I don't like get an erect. I don't like get an erection when I see a beautiful woman. But when the sexual tension is high, is like I have a level head on my shoulders. And I think that's what's different between me and a lot of guys. Is I have a level head on my shoulders. I don't fiend and feast after sex. Is fucking hilarious. I don't fiend and feast after sex. I'm quite confident that, yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, quite frankly, I get girlfriends all the time. I get girlfriends all the time. You know, um, but is like, I don't like, I don't fiend after sex. You know, I used to do that shit. I used to like objectify women and think that like for me, I like to have like friends and stuff. You know, but I'm in a weird mix where, yeah, I'm in a weird mix where you know, like I want sex, but I don't fucking like need it, you know. That's what happens when you take steroids and then come off, you know, is you don't see like a beautiful woman and like leer at her. You know what I'm saying? I don't see like a beautiful woman and like leer at her and think like, "Oh, look at that piece of thing right there." And this is not like a women's rights speech. This is like simply saying like a woman's body I used to once consider like the object of affection is like hard to explain. It is like you want beautiful women, right? I'm enlightened. I don't quite believe I exist. I think that the personality and everything about us is like more or less like manufactured. You are not real. The personality and what you think you are is like manufactured. Is like your idea of ego and your sense of self is weird. And my ego, in sense of ego and self, is like weird for like most other people. Just how you guys think, like, conversely, like, because I'm like the champion archetype, right? You guys might think like, what's that you just get? See me, I'm like the champion archetype, right? Where you guys think like, oh, whoa, I could be like you, but I can't because God won't let me. Well, I think like everything about us is like Fugazi. Your sense of awareness, your sense of self, and your like idea of what you are is different than what it actually is. We are almost like fabricated. The personality and the ego and blah 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 is like it doesn't exist. I can't, if I'm honest, the only thing that is real is the ability that we have to, as closely as possible, to make a choice to put ourselves through it in order to succeed. That's my champion archetype doing the talking there. I think that it's very strange how men, even my age, look at a woman and say, like, as if a woman's body is like actually a fucking temple that you worship, that men worship. Women's bodies. Men worship women's bodies. As if like it's like a pretty picture or like a statue. It's like a pretty picture or like a statue to some of us. You give me the most beautiful fucking girl in the world with a trash personality, I'll leave her on standing on the fucking side of the fucking road. I look for like personality nowadays. I don't care how hot a woman is, how beautiful a woman is. It's like I look for personality more now. Is like women being like the object of affection and their bodies being the object of affection, to me, is very strange. Because I took testosterone injections and came off, so now I have low testosterone. Testosterone is a sex hormone. It's not a male hormone, it's a sex hormone. I don't believe in things like personality anymore. I was given the option to embrace the ego or to destroy it, and I destroyed it. I destroyed my sense of myself, which is a closer depiction of actual fact, or what we know as fact, factual, the facts, you know. Um, I used to be a dumbass like that, where I would think that a woman's body is like a fucking idol, like idolatry worship of a woman's body. You know, that like I have to say that basically my sense of what we are has changed so much since removing the basically diminishing the sex hormone in my body. I'm a man just fine. But we all, I think, we all sort of, I tend to fluctuate between different levels of self. I have like kind of that God archetype, you know, where I tend to fluctuate between different levels of self and optimize in order to be the best individual that I'm capable of being. Women are good for more than just their fucking bodies. This is not a rally cry like, oh, don't you gotta be nice to the bitches. It's not what I'm fucking saying. I think everyone respects women just fine. Everyone does. Um, and, so, it's like, yeah, when you remove your fiending for sex, your feasting for sex, your fiendish behavior toward the idea of sex, that you will do literally fucking anything in order to achieve sex. Even if that means, like, going all the way through college and getting a career just to have sex. In the bottom level of the logic there, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, why don't you just jack off? I love jacking off. It exposes you to less drama, exposes you to a vicarious experience of, like, what if that was me having that fucking sex right there? Because real life sex is not that fucking awesome. As you know, as over the years, as we've been exposed to more like deeper levels of like pornography, yeah, sex, I guess now that we gotten a better idea of how good sex can be. But back in the fucking day, sex on porn was like very like standard, and that's the kind of sex that I was having when I was fucking 16, was very like in if it was ever anything really spectacular, it was like that porn star sex. You know, the fuck? Guys, I guess the point of this video is what you think you are is not what you are. And a woman is better for more than just her fucking body. And, guys, don't fiend and feast after sex. Like, sex is pretty fucking good, you know, but jacking off is really not that much worse. Especially if you get some, like, good, like, if you get some good sex, it's, like, really good, but mostly, most of sex, well, pussy is really good. But it's not, like, better than, like, cigarettes. Okay, well, I guess it is, but you can't, like, have sex, like, 20 times a day. You might be able to have sex, like, 6 times a day, and that's if you don't have a job. Sex leads to children, which leads to problems, and sex you have to interact with other human beings, which can get, like, shitty and you know, people are typically drama, and it's not worth it for like 5, and then your girlfriend really wants to be fucked like a fucking rock star, but for the most part, as a man, I don't really have it in me to do that. I'm not going to do that like every time I have sex. And a woman is not going to be treated like a fucking mattress every time she has sex. She's going to wind up cheating on you or something. And, you know, basically, you know, my thing is the personality and everything about us is like manufactured. The universe is like not precisely naturally is not like designed for the human existence, for like the soul's existence, as I am like almost like a more pure form of my essence now that I don't have that fiending for sex. And you know, guys, the only thing that's real is pleasure and pain. You gotta chase the pleasure and try to avoid the pain. That's like the deciding factor of whether if your life is good or bad. All these other factors, you know, as long as you're happy, they don't matter nearly as much as the pleasure and pain ratio. But even with pleasure, in infinity pleasure, life can be pretty fucking ridiculous, and I would know. I am a perfect example of somebody who lives a great life, but like one little dose of bullshit is worth like fucking 10 good things happening in your life. So is like I'm a millionaire. If my girlfriend cheats on me, that's like almost makes the money situation like void, because null and void and null, because that is a big deal right there. Or if my kid is having a bad time in school, that's like a negative right there. So it almost doesn't matter how good things get, because once one little bad thing happens, you cry out to the sky and scream at God like, what the fuck are you doing? Is this fucking bullshit? But you can't blame God for everything because God is... There's going to be negativity in your life. You just got to learn how to suck it up and deal with it. And it's fucking bullshit, but that's the way it fucking goes. So anyways, I'm going to get back to what I was doing before. There's not too much else to really talk about. So waiting on a message back from customer service, kind of like in the middle of something right now. Like, the ego gives you what doesn't give me. Sometimes I choose to live in like sort of like this trance where the ego is real but it's not. And it's like the natural universe is not necessarily like, we're actually, as far as I've heard, we're like actually better off, like in terms of like weird shit, is like you have to rationalize this life to make it really work. But you can have a personality and have friends and stuff, and that's one thing that makes life worth living. So be my friend. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. If I could make a humble suggestion, take a fucking shot of testosterone, and just once and never again. Put that oil in your body and then never again. Or take steroids and you'll fiend after women like, and you'll fucking fiend after women for like your life. And and you have to break out of that to really realize that the almost like idolatry worship of a woman's body is fucking ridiculous. I would have to assume that a lot of people are very much still in their monkey brain, and that's what playing with my hormones. Hormones is a very human thing. But to ascend and transcend the human existence, the human, like, to bring your psychology into the awareness of your core, of your essence, means that sex is for the purpose of reproduction, not like to fuck a hot body. Some of the hottest women I've had sex with had terrible sex game, like a loose vagina. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Be careful for those pretty girls, because those are the girls that get talked to all the time. And like also, let me say that I basically, after coming off of testosterone, I jack off for the purpose of the bodily function of relieving myself, and out with the old, in with the new. And I've even become so smart that I've realized that you have to get the old dead sperm out of your body. Or if it's dead sperm, or if it's like old sperm, like as more sperm is pumped into your body, you have to get out with the old, in with the new. And anyways, I'm gonna now make a video about fruits and vegetables. I fucked around and became very unhealthy in very early on in my life. In my 20s. I'm 30 now, but in my 20s I became very unhealthy. Like by the time I was like 28, 29, I was eating a lot of microwave food and shit like that, and like food that's just not good for you, like fucking cancer causing, like fucking crazy shit, you know, and gonna make a video about health and diet and how I reversed practically like fucking like pre-cancer to now I'm like real like alive and kicking and I'm not sick anymore. I was very sick for like 6 or 7 years and I couldn't figure out why. It turns out it was my fucking diet. So I'm gonna make a video on that next. But I was one where I chose to destroy the ego rather than embrace it. I found more success. I found more love in my life, more abundance. I found the ability and capacity to almost forgive. Forgive? No, I don't forgive as much, but I like sympathize with people, but that doesn't mean that I like forgive. Like if you fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you back, but it's always an eye for an eye. It's not like you look at me funny and I set you on fire. You know, realizing the immateriality of the self. And even if a woman is like super beautiful, it's probably because she works all the time and she can't sit around and eat all day. So next video is about fruits and veggies.